He then battered 4-month-old Mary Lou to death. Hello there and welcome, I hope you're doing well. My name is Gabby and in today's video we're going through a multiple murder case that took place on Christmas Day. If you enjoy true crime, consider subscribing to the channel. I release new videos every week. This is the Lawson family massacre. On the morning of Christmas Day 1929 in North Carolina, the tobacco farming Lawson family parents Charlie and Fanny and their 7 children, Marie, Arthur, Carrie, Mabel, James, Raymond and baby Mary Lou, got up and went about their business. 17-year-old Mary made 2-layer cake with raisins for Christmas dinner, and while it was still cooling, her father Charlie and her 16-year-old brother Arthur went rabbit hunting with Charlie's 2 beagles. A short time later, Charlie sent Arthur to nearby Germantown to buy more ammunition. Whether or not this had anything to do with what was about to happen is a question that will remain unanswered. While it is difficult to know for certain the exact sequence of events for reasons that will become apparent, the one most widely agreed upon is as follows. Sometime after Arthur had left for his errand, the 2 middle girls, 12-year-old Carrie and 7-year-old Mabel, set out to visit their aunt and uncle. Unbeknownst to them, Charlie was waiting by the tobacco barn with a 12-gauge shotgun. When they came into range, he shot them before bludgeoning them to make sure that they were dead and putting their bodies in the barn. Charlie then returned to the farmhouse where his wife Fanny was peeling potatoes on the porch and shot her. He then went into the kitchen and shot Marie. The 2 youngest boys, 4-year-old James and 2-year-old Raymond, tried to hide, but Charlie found and shot them too. He then battered 4-month-old Mary Lou to death. After killing his family, Charlie collected the bodies and arranged them in a line with their arms crossed over their chests and rocks over their heads. He then headed into the nearby woods. By the time Charlie took his own life, his brothers had arrived at the farmhouse to wish the family a Merry Christmas and discovered the grisly aftermath of the killing spree. Arthur returned home sometime later to find his mother and siblings dead, and like his uncles, he had no idea where his father was. With Christmas festivities now the last thing on anyone's mind, the local police, along with relatives and neighbours of the Lawsons, launched a search for Charlie. However, they made no progress with finding him until a gunshot in the woods and the subsequent baying of Charlie's beagles led them to his body. Going by the number of footprints around a nearby tree, he had spent a fair amount of time pacing before finally shooting himself in the head. With his body were letters to his parents and a scrap of paper on which was written, "Blame nobody but I." The killings attracted a great deal of rather morbid interest. When Charlie and the family members he'd killed were buried, all in the same plot, an estimated 1,500 people with no connection to the family other than their own curiosity attended the funeral, in addition to those who actually knew the deceased. Shortly after the funeral, Charlie's brother Marion opened up the farmhouse where the murders took place as a macabre tourist attraction, the bloodstains still on the floor and walls. Among the things displayed in the house was the shotgun Charlie used to commit the murders and the cake that Marie had made the morning before she was murdered, which had to be put under glass because people kept picking off raisins to keep as souvenirs. Marion justified his decision as being motivated by him needing to support Arthur financially. The interest in the case also took the form of speculation as to what caused Charlie Lawson to do what he did. Many suspected that the killings were premeditated, largely on the grounds that a few days before Christmas, Charlie had taken his whole family to Winston-Salem, which was about 13 miles from their farm, to buy new clothes for everyone and have a family photo taken at the town's photography studio, which he said was all part of a Christmas surprise. It was a spending spree that seemed highly unusual for a working-class rural family like the Lawsons. one which after the murders invited speculation that the reason why Charlie had been willing to spend so much money was that he knew he wouldn't be needing it in the future. However, the fact that Charlie had bought his own farm in 1927 after years of sharecropping, combined with him being described as a well-to-do farmer, in an Associated Press wire that went out the day after the murders, makes it seem more likely that the pre-Christmas splurge was within the family's means. The theory put forward and insisted on by family and friends of the Lawsons was that Charlie had gone insane. Months prior to the murders, Charlie accidentally hit himself in the forehead with an axe while removing rotten timbers from the farmhouse, after which it was claimed his personality changed, becoming ruder and more impatient. According to his friends and family, it was this head injury which had caused him to lose his mind and kill his family. However, an autopsy and examination of his brain by Johns Hopkins Hospital found no abnormalities, although the relatively primitive state of medical and forensic science in the 1920s must be kept in mind. It is possible that the reason those who knew the Lawsons were so insistent about the insanity theory is that there were a far worse motive behind the murders. According to the 1990 book White Christmas, Bloody Christmas by M. Bruce Jones and Trudy J. Smith, Charlie had been sexually abusing his daughter Marie. The book's initial source of information on the subject was an anonymous one who'd overheard a rumour while visiting the Lawson house shortly after it became a tourist attraction. However, the day before the book was published, one of the authors received a phone call from an aging relative of the family, Stella Lawson. Stella had already been interviewed for the book, but during the phone call, she revealed that she remembered overhearing Fanny's aunts and sisters-in-law, including Stella's mother, Jetty, talking about how Fanny had confided in them about her concerns regarding an incestuous relationship between her husband and daughter. As Jetty Lawson died in the early 1928, this would mean that at minimum Fanny had her suspicions over a year before the murders. More evidence for this line of theorizing was presented in a 2006 follow-up book, The Meaning of Our Tears, courtesy of close friend of Marie's named Ella May, who came forward and revealed that a few weeks before Christmas 1929, Marie had confided in her that she was pregnant by her own father and that he and her mother knew about it. Unfortunately, we'll never know for sure what it was that drove Charlie Lawson to kill all but one of his family. The only one who will likely know for certain was Charlie, and he is long gone, while the passage of almost a century has probably erased any other evidence. The farmhouse was demolished years ago. Arthur died in the 1940s in a freak truck accident, and by now everyone else who personally knew the family is likely dead. The questions that remain unanswered will therefore always remain so. So that was the Lawson family massacre. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you like my videos. But until I see you again, please be safe, be well, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.